Preview Health Center in Helena offered drive-through coronavirus testing to the public today. MTN's Alexia Aguayo went through the process to show us how it all works.
Preview Health Center transformed their parking lot into a drive-through system for COVID-19 test. It is part of a new initiative set by Governor Bullock. It is free and paid for by the state of Montana.
The test is for people who do not have symptoms and do not have any known exposure to COVID-19. So we're really trying to rule out that we have COVID-19 in the community that we don't know about.
Upon arrival, you will need to sign a consent form and pass a pre-screening at Station 1. Station 2 is the actual test. Masks are not required throughout the process.
As you can see, folks with children or multiple people in the car can step off to the side here to test their young ones or take more time to do the test.
So, this is the swab. It just has to go into each nostril. I'll open it for you and have you grab the handle end, and then I'm going to have you put the furry end in about ½ an inch in one nostril, swirl around for about 10 seconds, switch sides, do it on the other nostril.
Okay.
Okay, and then I'll take it from you. There you go.
Thank you very much.
So that end, the top end will go in.
All right. And you guys probably do not want to see this.
PureView says you will receive results after 5 to 7 days by a phone call. In all, PureView had enough to test 800 people on Saturday. In Helena, I'm Alexia Aguayo, MTN News.
And there'll be more testing available at the Preview Health Center next Saturday from 8 a.m. until noon. A protest was held in downtown Kalispel this evening as residents came in support of Black Lives Matter, a movement that has gained global momentum in the past week after the officer-involved killing of George Floyd, a black man from Minneapolis. MTN's Sean Wells was on scene in Kalispel and shows us around.
More than 500 Flathead Valley residents attended a peaceful protest honoring Black Lives Matter and the death of George Floyd. The protest held at Depot Park saw protesters of all ages showing off signs while chanting together. A large group of armed Flathead citizens were also on scene protecting a veterans monument at the park. Armed citizen and ex-police officer Cynthia Thaler traveled from Big Arm to attend the protest. She says her goal was to make sure everyone had the right to protest peacefully while also exercising her Second Amendment rights.
We're actually making new friends and enjoying a lot of the company and the people around. So, and it's been going great.
Event organizer and Linderman Education Center student Anya Parmer says the idea of a protest started from a group chat between Kalispel High School students. She says the idea was to make sure everyone has an outlet to voice support for Black Lives Matter in the Flathead Valley.
Just because we're a small community and just because we don't have a large number of people of color here, that does not mean that we can't stand up for them.
In Kalispel, Sean Wells, MTN News.
And there was also a large law enforcement presence on scene at the Kalispel protest. Now we turn our attention to Billings. Tomorrow, the Magic City will see one of the largest protests in its history. Over 1,000 people are expected to gather downtown to protest racial inequality. Police expect a peaceful gathering, but say they will be ready for any outcome. MTN's Jenny Fick brings us more.
Inspirational music, to get people pumped up, but in a positive way.
The organizers of Justice for George Floyd planned a peaceful protest, and they aim to keep it that way.
We will be opening with an Indigenous people's powwow prayer, a group that's coming in to do that, and I'm very excited for it because we are, the memorial for George Floyd, but we also want to include all BIPOC.
The organizers hope to honor Black, Indigenous, and people of color in our community while bringing togetherness.
We're going to be singing some songs.
Just can't be numb to the certain situation anymore. The sadness and the rage and the love and the passion that I have it came over me.
Conversations that are positive and go in a positive directions are when people are both willing to hear each other out.
That have genuine questions, and if it's coming from a genuine place, I can answer those questions in a genuine way.
They have also been contacted by people from the Not in Our Town program.
Yes, we don't want people to just come hold the sign and think, hey, I just changed the world, because that's not what's happening. We need to keep going.
Not in Our Town originated right here in Billings after residents stood up for their neighbors against hate crimes occurring in the 90s. The program inspired communities around the world to take a stand against hate.
Just proud that she brought me to this because this is something we've talked a lot about over the years. And
told my husband, there's going to be people speaking at the rally. I would love to see you speak. And he's like, I don't like to speak. That's not my game. But then this morning he came in and he's like, listen to this recording of something I wrote. And I listened to it and I just started crying because I'm like, I'm so proud of you.
I'm not just going to stop here just for this one certain moment. It's going to keep going for the rest of my life. So my kids can ensure and everybody else's children have a better future.
We'll close out with a prayer, and we will also be laying down on the ground with our hands behind our back for the 8 minutes and 46 seconds that George Floyd was held down.
And so I think educating yourself and being open to having conversations with people of color and other minority groups, that's a great start.
Yep, from playing high school basketball to college basketball to now. He's going to be a teacher at Skyview this year. So, changing kids' lives. So, changed ours.
It's awesome that we get to involve different cultures in what we're doing, and that's like our goal, is to bring everybody together. So we do have a great support system in our community with people who do want to help and genuinely care. So you got to start somewhere, and that's where we're starting.
In Billings, Jenny Fick, MTN News.
Organizers say they will also be supplying masks to the crowd. Well, in this week's Fish, Wildlife, and Parks Outdoor Flashback, Bill Thomas takes us out to photograph the biggest owl in all of Montana. That's coming up after the break.
By the Montana Television Network. The 10 o'clock news continues on Montana's News Leader.
Did you know Montana has 15 different species of owls? In this week's Fish, Wildlife, and Parks Outdoor Flashback, Bill Thomas takes us out to photograph the biggest of them all, the great gray.
These are amazing owls. They're huge. Their faces are the most impressive of any you'll see, and they're the largest owl in North America by their dimensions, not by weight. So to see one of these things, you have to feel pretty lucky.
Going eyeball to eyeball with a great gray and her chicks gets the adrenaline of a wildlife photographer pumping. It's not that great grays are that rare, but finding one and then the nest and then the logistics of filming it are quite unique.
I had never seen a nest before these researchers showed me this one, and it makes this a very special spot, and to be able to sit in my blind and watch this day in and day out for 2 years has made this a once-in-a-lifetime experience for me.
Those exciting hoots mean dinner's on the way.
It's pretty incredible what the chicks can eat. The male drops it off or gives the food to the female, and then the female, if the chicks are big enough, just presents the whole bowl or pocket gopher to the chick. And those bigger chicks, within a week, can wolf down the whole thing in one big swallow.
The future of these hungry chicks is tied to their habitat.
So as long as we keep some older forest in the picture and manage for older forests and proximity to wet meadows, we'll probably keep these guys around.
Bill Thomas, out amongst Montana's Fish, Wildlife, and Parks.
And Thomas says that Montana Fish, Wildlife, and Parks lists the great gray as a species of special concern. Recent surveys in western Montana indicate it's probably more common than previously thought. Well, coronavirus has surely changed what is considered normal in our world. One man in Great Falls wanted to do his part by helping others. A new business in town called Darryl's Mobile Oil Change Services will come change the oil in your vehicle right in your own driveway. MTN spoke with Darryl about why he started this business. He says it was because he saw a need in his community.
I had a lot of people come in and ask, hey, are you guys doing oil changes, or can I have some work done on my vehicle? And I just felt bad telling them no. And one day I had a girl break down crying because her vehicle was pretty bad, so I felt bad for her on that one.
And you can find more details about Darryl's Mobile Oil Change Services on our website. What makes people loot stores and other businesses? Elizabeth Ruiz is in Minneapolis and spoke with business owners and a psychologist from the area, hoping to answer this question.
The grocery stores down here were hit. They were hit.
Holly Vo works at a family-owned business in Minneapolis, Minnesota.
All these are small business family-owned.
1986 was the year Holly's father started income tax and immigration translation services. His prices haven't changed in decades.
Because he's like, we're a minority business. We need to help the minority community.
A minority community that is now mourning the horrific death of 46-year-old George Floyd. People seeking justice immediately took to the streets, but unfortunately, what started as peaceful protests progressed into riots, looting, and vandalism.
I understand the injustice. I understand the anger. But it's just sad. This whole street was so dead during COVID, and we were trying to survive. Only to see this. I know these owners.
Willie Garrett is a licensed psychologist and president of the Minnesota Psychological Association. Garrett says people who typically loot feel exploited by the businesses around them. He says they have so much oppression in their lives.
They don't want to see their own communities destroyed, but they also feel so helpless and powerless. And when people feel helpless and powerless, that's really a time when they strike out. They feel like they have nothing to lose.
He says it's a self-protective behavior. However, while he does suggest it's very possible many of the looters are local, he and other Minneapolis locals believe a majority of the burning and destruction has come from outsiders who don't have an investment in the community. Mob mentality kicks in and they go along with what the group is doing even if they disagree.
If you're a group of people who are all angry and someone takes a trash can and breaks a picture window out and all the glass starts falling down, it stimulates people.
If there continues to be more unjust killings by people in positions of power, Garrett believes the protests and riots will only get bigger.
We're looking at a cool down for the first part of the work week, but then we're warming up back to the 80s by Friday. We're going to talk about all this and more right after this break. Welcome back, everyone. I hope that you have had a pleasant Saturday, even if we've had to deal with a lot of rain and in some locations, a lot of locations rather, that thunder and lightning. We are still looking at a severe thunderstorm watch for Valley County and surrounding areas until 12 a.m. tonight, as we could be looking at a severe thunderstorm possible, bringing with it damaging wind gusts as well as quarter-sized hail, and in the isolated chance, maybe even golf ball-sized hail. Now, we have been tracking, though, this huge mass of showers and thunderstorms all throughout the day. And it looks like we're going to get our second wave that's been moving up, and that's going to be what possibly hits Glasgow here in the next couple of hours. But right now we are looking at a very rainy situation. But why is this? Well, it's because here's the culprit, a low pressure with that warm front. Notice how these showers and thunderstorms are really firing up along that warm front. Yeah, that's what we're looking at. Also, we have this trailing cold front, and that's also going to bring with it a round of showers. So let's go ahead and talk about it. As we head throughout the night, low pressure actually starts to take a turn towards the north-northwest. Very interesting. We're going to be looking at lines of showers by around 12:30 in the morning, impacting folks in Glasgow and down towards Miles City, looking at still wraparound moisture for Great Falls, Havre, and Lewistown. So if you do like to sleep in the night through the night with rain, well, you got your wish tonight. Now, by around 6 a.m., notice that we aren't really seeing much of any shower activity for a lot of us. It looks like the low pressure moves off to Canada, allowing for us to really stay dry with a few clouds, and that will be the continuing trend throughout the day. Some of us could even see some mostly sunny skies. But by around 2 p.m., we're going to be looking at a second wave of showers and thunderstorms making their way into our area. So tomorrow afternoon, it will be a very rainy afternoon. And we could even look at by 6 p.m., this blue stuff, that snow, yeah, that's going to be coming and creeping up towards us. We are looking at elevations around 5,500 feet and higher, being under a winter weather advisory, because you guys could be expecting 3 to 6 inches of snow if you live at or above that 5,500 feet mark. And as we take a wider look, we're going to see the weather by around 7:30 in the morning still impacting a lot of us with rain and some locations snow. But this high pressure, it is going to really start to take hold and influence our weather patterns pattern, and we're going to start to see a drying trend by Monday night. But we just got to get there. We're going to be looking at showers and thunderstorms really throughout the day possible for us. But I believe that because of the cool temperatures we're going to be seeing, we're not going to see that energy needed for thunderstorms to really take off. So I think that we're going to be just looking at shower activity. We've already, though, seen a lot of rain in a lot of locations. I mean, almost half an inch in Helena, as well as almost 4/10 of an inch here in the Electric City. By Monday, 10 p.m., we could be looking at an additional 1.56 inches here in the Electric City, 1.07 inches in Helena, 1.09 inches in Havre, and almost 1.5 inches in Lewistown. So a lot of rain, and with that, we're expecting a lot of winds. 30 to 40 mile per hour wind gusts, 40 to 50 in Lewistown by around 1:30 in the morning, 10 to 20 in Havre, 30 to 40 out in Glasgow, 10 to 20 in Jordan. Continuing throughout the night, if you are going to wake up and go to church in the morning or go out and run errands, 30 to 40 mile per hour winds in Havre as well as Cutbank, 10 to 20 in Great Falls, and 20 to 30 in Glasgow. We are looking at a cool down as well as a warming trend. The first 2 days we're going to be dropping down to around 58 by Monday before we slowly warm back up to 82 on Friday. And just take a look at this. I love how the light really kind of, the water droplets really scatter the light in Great Falls. It looks beautiful. Now, as we head throughout the next couple of days, temperatures again will fall down to 58 degrees. Showers expected on Monday. We're going to be looking at kind of a drying trend from Tuesday through Thursday, possibly even Friday. And then we'll try and see a few showers start to try and creep back in. But we are expecting, though, Matt, a windy day as well as a rainy day for the next several days.
Well, when things do get warmer and drier, there's no better way to get cool than with a dip in the pool. But with coronavirus still a concern, how can swimmers make sure they're protected at the pool? Members of the Belt Pool Corporation have taken preventative measures to keep their swimmers safe this summer. In addition to moving their opening date back a week to reduce exposure to coronavirus, the staff will follow strict protocols like keeping families socially distanced while at or in the pool and cleaning thoroughly. Coming up, athletic officials at Montana Tech City George Floyd protests are creating a foundation to inspire much-needed change.
By the Montana Television Network. The 10 o'clock news continues on Montana's news leader.
We rely on those who have the ability to make their voices heard to bring about a change in the world that needs it. As a staple in the Butte community, the athletic staff and leaders at Montana Tech say the foundation to inspire that much-needed change is there. But as MTN's Dom Tibbetts explains, their priorities right now are simply to listen so that others can have their voices heard.
When we're going through this as a country and a society, it really changed your perspective on what's important and what your issues are on a day-to-day basis and where your focuses should be.
The sudden and tragic death of George Floyd has hit close to home at Montana Tech, which now presents an opportunity for administrators and coaches to hear the concerns and suffering their African-American student athletes are going through.
Leadership sometimes is just shutting your mouth and listening, and not necessarily having things to say all the time, but listening to your players, to your peers, to your staff. And I think this is a great starting point, just to listen and to admit that we need to do better.
Montana Tech has never been a stranger to inclusion, leading from the examples of past ore diggers like Calvin Sampson, who spread a message of inclusion and understanding to a community that often doesn't have to live with the reality of what life is like for African Americans elsewhere.
And it's something that we're trying to live up to, that not only the standard that he set when he coached here, but also the standard in which the way in which he lives his life. One of inclusion, compassion. I mean, we had him here on campus last fall, and he was meeting with our team, and just the standards that he has in his program are the standards that we want to have in our program as well. So we admire him, we respect him, we love everything that he has to say, and we're going to do everything we can to make sure that we live the legacy that he's established here.
Above all, the Montana Tech community understands right now its priorities lie within all of their student athletes dealing with an indescribable amount of emotions to make sure they know full well that they are more than just a student athlete to them.
And then going forward, I think that just kind of goes to everything that we're trying to do here at Tech. We're trying to build relationships with kids that know that we care about them as people, not as just football players or basketball players or whatever it may be.
We share relationships. The relationship's the most important piece of our program. And so, when one of our members suffers, everybody suffers.
That's our family, and we need to pull together as a family and be there for all members of our family, especially those that are really feeling this pain.
In Butte, Dom Tibbetts, MTN Sports.
There's one well-known Montana coach who has a perspective on race many of us don't. And during this period of civil unrest, he's speaking up about what it's like to be black in America and what needs to happen if change is to come. Here's MTN's Kyle Hansen.
Like the rest of America, Travis DeCuire has watched as the nation has protested and cried out over the death of George Floyd at the hands of Minneapolis police officers.
You know, it's hard to explain because I've been seeing it my entire life. And I think that's the perspective that a lot of people just don't understand.
DeCuire paved the way as the first African-American man or woman to be hired in a head coaching position at either Montana or Montana State when he arrived in 2014. Of late, DeCuire has been vocal on Twitter about what is happening in America, knowing full well that he works in a mostly white state. And DeCuire holds a leadership position in the state rarely held by minorities. He said the biggest factor is educating and teaching kids viewpoints outside of their comfort zones.
When you talk about a community that, like the one I work in and live in, you look at Missoula, Bozeman, Great Falls, Billings as the metropolitan cities, Helena of Montana, and you really look at the numbers, it's very easy for a student to grow up, get through high school, and not sit in the classroom with a black student. And so there's a perspective that they'll never get.
There are those who don't want to listen or acknowledge change, but there are others who do and just need guidance around what to do to enforce positive change because they don't grow up around minorities like those in metropolitan areas. So they miss those viewpoints. But avoiding ugly conversations, as some do, only adds to the problem.
And so we need enough people to admit what the why is, what the issue is, what the problem is, to continue to move forward. We need to make sure that more people understand why.
DeCuire said Missoula itself has come a long way since the 90s when he was a student athlete to now, saying the community opens its arms to minority athletes. A lot of Grizz athletes come from urban areas and experience culture shocks in Montana, but he sees Montana as home and welcoming to him and his family. Speaking on issues outside of sports, DeCuire knows backlash is unavoidable, but he says that backlash halts change and growth and forces those with good ideas to remain silent. Educating people is the long-term goal, but voting is a short-term solution, and DeCuire says fixing the issues needs to be the focal point.
Until we start dealing with the issues more than dealing with the responses, we'll start having some change, some growth, and we will become a country that might actually be great. Right now, it doesn't feel that way because we're fighting each other.
In Missoula, Kyle Hansen, MTN Sports.
DeCuire added that while education is the long-term answer, voting is something people can do right now to make sure change and solutions happen. We're back after this.
The good news, we are no longer under a severe thunderstorm watch. The Storm Prediction Center, they have lifted that. So, hey, that's the good news there. Good night to fall asleep on with some rain on the roof. 64 degrees tomorrow with showers and thunderstorms ending us in the afternoon. And it's going to be a rainy Monday as well.
And some good news to end your show. Thanks so much for watching. Good night, Montana.